Where did you get that? She asked, her voice trembling with shock. Seriously? I show you undeniable proof of your infidelity, and all you care about is where I found it? Does it matter where it came from? Will that change the fact that you're cheating on me? I confronted my wife of 7 years, feeling a mix of anger and betrayal. Honey, I know this looks bad, and I admit we kissed, but that's not cheating. Look, we're in full view of everyone in that picture. We weren't doing anything more, she said, trying to downplay the situation. So your defense is that because you're not doing more with him in public, it's not cheating? No explanation about who this guy is or why you're making out with him like that? Is this your idea of being faithful, Laura? I demanded, feeling my patience wear thin. David, you're overreacting. I swear it just happened. There's nothing to worry about. Making a big deal out of this won't help anything, she said, brushing off my concerns. Innocent, huh? You haven't even told me his name. Why shouldn't I be upset about someone I don't even know? I snapped back, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Does his name matter? If I tell you, you'll do something stupid like pick a fight. I won't let that happen, she replied, clearly trying to protect her lover. I see. Thanks for your honesty and transparency. You've made your choice. Now I'll make mine, I said coldly, turning away and heading upstairs to pack a suitcase. What are you doing? She asked, following me closely. Packing a suitcase. What does it look like? I responded curtly. But why? Because I can't take any more of your lies and deceit. I need to leave before I say or do something I'll regret, I growled, my frustration boiling over. Don't be ridiculous, David. I know you wouldn't hurt me, she said confidently. Until today, I thought you'd never cheat on me. I guess we don't know each other as well as we thought, I shot back, my trust in her shattered. Cheating? Who said I cheated on you? Laura yelled. Kissing isn't cheating, and you know it. I never cheated on you. Oh, really? Then what do you call this? I held up another picture, taken the same night. That's a pretty clear shot of you entertaining him, isn't it? But where? How? There you go again. Does it matter where I got the picture? Does knowing that change the fact that you cheated on me and lied about it? I asked, my voice filled with anger. She dropped the pictures and tried to hug me, but I pushed her away. Stay away from me, Laura. I gave you a chance to be honest, but you didn't think I deserved the truth. I could have stayed and tried to work things out for our son's sake if you had been honest, but you couldn't even do that. I'm taking my phone. If you ever call me for anything other than an emergency with Ethan, I'll block your number. Got it? She nodded, tears streaming down her face as I walked out, feeling a mix of anger, frustration, and deep hurt. That Friday night, I checked into a motel, deciding to take the weekend to figure out my next steps. Divorcing her seemed like the immediate solution, but it would mean Ethan would grow up in a single-parent household, and I'd be stuck paying alimony and child support. I wished she had at least apologized or given some explanation. Maybe she didn't have time to think about it. That's why I thought it best to spend some time apart and consider our future. The loneliness hit me hard. I cried myself to sleep and woke up late the next day, my phone buzzing with messages. I had worked hard to get my engineering degree and secured a job at a local chemical lab, which was part of a large company. After 5 years, I was promoted to production manager at their main R&D center, 1,000 miles away. The promotion came with a significant pay raise, so we moved, leaving behind our friends and family. Laura found a job at a large credit card company's call center, which employed over 1,200 people, most of whom were her age. A year after our move, Ethan was born. I convinced her to become a stay-at-home mom, but she missed the company of her work friends. Her work friends quickly became our social circle, and we often hung out with them, either at home or at a restaurant or club. The women were all beautiful, and their husbands were just as handsome. I felt out of place around these polished men, but they treated me well. Now, the messages flooding my phone were from this group. Laura had told them about our problems and shared the details, and they were urging me to talk to them and resolve things quickly. I was amazed at how she kept this from me, but told our friends everything. It made me question what kind of friends they really were. I don't like others knowing about my personal life, especially the intimate details of my marriage. Laura was the only one who didn't call or text, knowing I'd block her number. Jessica, Laura's best friend, seemed to be orchestrating everything. She wanted me to meet the group at her house on Sunday night at 6 o'clock. My analytical mind suspected a trap. My car might get blocked, or the guys could try to stop me if I decided to leave the meeting early. So, I texted back, suggesting we meet at the Angus Steakhouse instead. That way, I could park my car where it wouldn't be trapped, and in the public setting of a restaurant, I could leave whenever I wanted. Reluctantly, they agreed to my request. I agreed to the meeting for several reasons. First, I wanted answers about why Laura did what she did. Second, I was curious about what our friends thought about the infidelity. Whose side would they take? And third, I wondered if any of them were involved or aware of her escapades. If they knew about her extracurricular activities, none of them had shared their concerns with me. I never back down from confrontation. As an account manager, I face challenges daily and know how to keep my cool in almost any environment. I looked forward to this meeting, hoping to learn more and make an informed decision. I parked my car in a nearby store's lot and walked over to the restaurant. I realized that the group had arrived much earlier than the agreed-upon time, likely to discuss strategy and prepare for the confrontation. This amused me. As I approached the set table, I noticed there was only one seat available, and it was next to Laura. She rose to greet me, but I stopped her before she could reach me. "If you don't mind, I'd prefer to sit at the far end of the table, away from her. If that's a problem, I can comfortably sit at another table," I explained. Jessica quickly spoke up before Laura could respond. "Of course, David. Lucas, how about giving David a seat at the end of the table, please? David, have a seat. You're our guest tonight, so your dinner is already paid for. Why don't we all go ahead and order?" Our group was seated in a separate dining area of the restaurant, away from prying eyes. Everyone quickly placed their orders, and as soon as that task was done, I took control of the conversation. I handed out 2 copies of the photo showing Laura and the mystery man kissing on the dance floor, one on the left and one on the right. "You all seem very interested in Laura and me settling our differences. I was shocked that she told our personal matters to others before discussing them with me. It shows her continued disrespect for me and our marriage," I began. Jessica started to speak, but I interrupted her. "Before any discussion begins, I want an answer. Look closely at this picture. Do you see that man? Laura refuses to give his name. I'm sure at least one of you here knows who he is. You say you want to help us solve our problems? What I need most right now is information. If none of you can be honest and provide the facts, then we have nothing more to discuss." There was complete silence at the table. Even the usually talkative Jessica hesitated to speak. No one claimed ignorance or offered to tell me who the man was. I had my answer. "Thank you for your time. I hope someone is really hungry and can eat my steak because I've just lost my appetite. No one here seems interested in helping us repair our relationship." "I apologize," I said, getting up from the table and leaving. Laura called out after me, begging me to come back, but no one else did. It was obvious that our friends were her friends, not mine. Laura, Jessica, and the rest of the group were stunned. They had planned for a reasonable discussion, but I had blindsided them with my demand. It would take some serious strategy to get through to me, and they weren't ready for that. I didn't mention it at the restaurant, but on my way back to the motel, I stopped at a fast food joint for a bite to eat. When I got home, I talked to the babysitter Laura had hired for the evening, paid her, and thanked her for her services. Then, I gulped down my food and began moving my clothes and personal belongings into the spare bedroom. Over the weekend, I had already bought a pair of locks with identical keys for the spare bedroom door and the hall bathroom door. I installed them, keeping the keys to myself. Not to avoid a verbal altercation with Laura, but to prevent her from trying to seduce me physically. Once settled, I happily played with my 3-year-old son, the light of my life, before bathing him and putting him to bed. Laura must have realized I was home because my car was in the garage when she pulled up around 10 p.m. They must have had a brainstorming session, or perhaps she was with her lover again. Who knows? She excitedly ran upstairs, happy to see me back, and found me in Ethan's room, sitting in a chair, watching him sleep peacefully, tears streaming down my face. I shushed her and waved her off before she entered the room, not wanting to disturb his innocent slumber. After I quietly closed the door, she tried to hug me, but I prevented her. "I'm so glad you're back home where you belong. Let me make you something to eat. We have a lot to talk about," she said, spreading a smile from ear to ear. "I've already eaten, but thanks for the offer. So, where have you been all this time? Entertaining your lover again? I hinted. No, I just left the steakhouse. They helped me find the right words to get us back on track. I have so much to tell you, she explained. I'll talk to you about anything if you give me the name of your lover. If you can't do that, then we have nothing to discuss, I said firmly. I just can't, she replied sullenly. I wish you would show me your husband at least half the devotion you show your lover. I will stay in the spare bedroom until further notice. Please stay away from me and never touch me. Who knows what diseases you might carry now, but I won't let your affairs keep me away from my son. He needs me as much as you do, she said through tears. If you ever decide you're ready to talk, your next words to me will be the name of your lover. But if you're willing to sacrifice our marriage to protect him, then so be it. Until then, don't speak another word to me, I declared. For all I know, you're plotting to take our son and move in with him tomorrow. Laura walked away sobbing, her head hanging low. A week passed where Laura and I only spoke to Ethan, but not a word was exchanged between us. Finally, on Monday night after work, I came home to an unexpected surprise. Everything seemed normal until I entered the kitchen. Suddenly, a group of Laura's couple friends emerged from the adjoining rooms and surrounded me. They all seemed eager to see me again, and although they didn't say anything outright annoying, their behavior felt like they were walking on eggshells. Where's Ethan? I asked immediately. I decided that adult conversations should not happen around my son. I've already dropped him off at the babysitter's. She has arranged for him to stay the night, Laura explained. I see, I replied, surprised by the pre-planning I hadn't been privy to. But I didn't see any of your cars parked on the street. We all wanted to surprise you, David, so we parked a block away and walked. We couldn't risk you driving by and seeing our cars, Jessica explained. Well, you certainly caught me off guard. So what's going on? Has something changed that I need to know about? I inquired. Yes, honey, Laura began. Why don't we all go into the living room and explain everything? I'm ready to answer your question right now. Sure, but first I need to use the bathroom. I just got home. I'll be right there. You all go ahead, I said. I went to the restroom in the hallway, peed, flushed, and washed my hands. I turned on the recording on my cell phone, slipped it into my shirt pocket, and joined the crowd in the living room. To my surprise, 2 other people were there who hadn't been in the kitchen before. I immediately recognized the man Laura had been cheating with, sitting next to a pretty woman, slightly younger than him. David, you've already met everyone except Mark Johnson and his wife Samantha. They've been part of our group of friends for a long time, but you've never met them before, Laura began. I realize this may come as a shock, but you were so insistent on finding out who he was that we all consulted and decided this was the best way to reveal his name. If you try to attack him, all the guys here have agreed to come between you. We don't want anyone to get hurt today. So you finally give me a face, huh? It's a little late to worry about me getting hurt, isn't it? I said sarcastically. You didn't care about hurting me when you were keeping him safe, did you? Don't worry, I'm not going to touch that bastard. I don't want to catch any of the diseases he may have already infected you with. Everyone present let out a groan of disappointment. Jessica jumped in. David, we understand your frustration. Can we speak calmly and professionally as friends? We're trying to give you what you asked for. You wanted his name and now you have it. We thought you would also want to talk to him, and as you can see, we've arranged that. However, Mark doesn't need me to speak for him. He's perfectly capable of speaking for himself. Our role today is merely to introduce you. Mark rose to his feet and held out his hand. I'm afraid we've gotten off to a bad start. I hope by the end of this meeting, we can be friends, or at least polite to each other. I promise to treat you with respect and courtesy, and I hope you will do the same. May I call you David? He asked, extending his hand to me. I didn't move, keeping my hands at my side. First of all, since we're just meeting, Mr. Johnson, I prefer you call me Mr. Green. I can't imagine our relationship warrants such familiarity. Secondly, you promise respect and courtesy after showing me blatant disrespect. Am I supposed to ignore your extreme insolence and treat you politely? Fair enough, Mr. Green. My suggestion was solely in reference to our conversation today, not past incidents. If you'll allow me, I'd like to talk about what happened between me and the woman you married. Please do not say her name or refer to her as my wife. That title may be short-lived. I am evaluating the pros and cons of divorce, which I'm sure you're aware of. How should I address her then, Mr. Green? You may refer to her as the woman I married for now. Very well, Mr. Green. I would like to explain what happened between the woman you married and me. I hope I can put the circumstances in a light that you will find acceptable. I'm all ears, Mr. Johnson. Please enlighten me. Mark took a deep breath and began. Look around this room, Mr. Green. What do you see? You see a room full of exceptionally attractive women and men, including the woman you married and yourself. Do you think that's a coincidence? Doesn't it strike you that your best friends, a group you've socialized with countless times, are far more attractive than the average person? This group came together like birds of a feather. As our friendships grew, so did the intimacy and expressions of friendship. Every person in this room is in a happy, stable, and committed relationship. That is our foremost goal, ensuring confidence in each person's relationship with their soulmate. We need to understand that nothing on this earth can tear us apart, and everyone here believes that same principle applies to you and your wife, he said, pressing on. Look at my wife, Samantha. She means everything to me, just like every woman in this room does to their partner. We intend to spend our lives together, and no man, including you, can ever take her from me. This certainty gives me the confidence to share her with others, not just for our benefit, but for the good of our entire group. By not being tied down to monogamy, which is an outdated and restrictive concept, we grow and learn more. True love, built on trust, intimacy, and shared experiences, expands our horizons and strengthens our marriage. That's nice for you and your wife, Mr. Johnson, and for everyone else here who can live this way without restrictions, but it has nothing to do with me and my wife, I snapped back. Mr. Green, didn't you just admit that your relationship lacks the trust, understanding, and security that every other couple here enjoys? Don't you see the incredible benefits you both could gain by opening up to this? He gestured expansively to the group. If what you're saying is true, Mr. Johnson, then you've insulted every woman here, including my wife. I'm disgusted that you managed to twist my wife's morals so easily. Your actions are deplorable. A true gentleman would never interfere in someone else's marriage like you have. I understand your confusion, Mr. Green. This isn't a one-sided deal. We're inviting you to embrace the values we hold dear. You could be with any woman here right now if you wanted. When you and your wife joined our group, this invitation to participate fully was inevitable. If you hadn't reacted so harshly, she planned to talk to you about the potential benefits of this experience. Mr. Green, your wife said you accused her before she could explain. She panicked and withdrew defensively because you created a hostile atmosphere. I'm confident that you'll see the benefits of what we're proposing. We just need to find a way to make you comfortable with it. I see, I said, pretending to weigh his words. Then I turned to Laura, looking her straight in the eye. Is all this true? Did you discuss this with them behind my back and agree to try it out with Mr. Johnson without talking to me first? Laura nodded nervously, then explained. I've heard how these open relationships can strengthen marriages. I wanted us to experience that. I thought trying it with Mark would help us. Honey, my love for you hasn't changed. I wanted to show you what I learned to convince you it could be good for us. She smiled sweetly, clearly relieved that this was the first real conversation we'd had since that night. So I'm supposed to believe that one session with this guy turned you into an expert? It wasn't your first time with him, was it? She looked down at her feet, unable to meet my gaze, confirming my suspicions. Mr. Johnson jumped in again. Don't you see, Mr. Green? We helped your wife see the benefits. You can participate fully too. There are advantages you might not even have considered, he said. I see. So you think you're some kind of expert lover, huh? Mr. Green, I have a lot of experience and can teach less experienced lovers like your wife. She'll grow and learn from this, and you'll benefit from her new knowledge. Time with me and others will expand her horizons. Please don't get defensive. Everyone goes through periods of complacency. I looked Laura in the eye again. When have I ever been against trying something new? If our relationship needed spicing up, why didn't you talk to me instead of jumping into bed with a womanizer? She replied timidly, Please don't misunderstand me, honey. You're a gentle and sweet lover, and that's what I need most of the time. But sometimes I want things to be more intense, and that's what Mark showed me. He didn't try to replace you in my heart. I held back my rage, realizing that any chance of saving our marriage for our son's sake was gone. Inside, a storm raged, but outwardly, I stayed calm. Now that I'd decided on divorce, My goal was to gather as much ammunition as possible to strike back at them for destroying my happy home. Thank you, David. Do you see our group in a better light now? Will you and Laura join us? You won't regret it. Your marriage will grow stronger, I guarantee it. As much as it pains me to say this, I grinned, I'd like more time to think about everything you've said. Laura and I need to talk privately. We'll get back to you with an answer. Is that okay? The smirk on his face was barely hidden. He wasn't expecting a delay, but nodded. Sure, take all the time you need. Then, in a swift move, the three largest men grabbed me. I wasn't going anywhere. Though held securely, I didn't feel threatened, just surprised. Laura walked over, took my cell phone from my pocket, and started checking the videos I'd recorded. David, we want to trust you, but until you join us, we must protect ourselves. It was clear you were recording tonight's events on your phone. We can't afford that level of trust in you yet. Laura nodded toward the group leader. He asked her, Is it all gone? She nodded, saying, Yes, there will be no recording of tonight. She then put her phone away. It became painfully obvious that Laura was already deeply involved in their twisted club. The fact that she would go against my wishes to fulfill their desires showed how far she had strayed. Sensing my defeat, Mr. Johnson continued, Don't look so down, David. I like to think you recorded tonight's events just to better choose who you'll be with first when you join our summit group. But please understand, we can't take that risk. There's too much at stake. He patted me on the back as the group quietly filed out of the house. Grabbing my keys, I headed to the garage. Where are you going? Laura asked, puzzled. To pick up Ethan, if that's okay, I replied. I was hoping we could, reconnect physically today. There's no reason to get him right now, is there? I miss my son. Obviously more than you do. I'll be back in a little while, I said, brushing off her attempt at intimacy, and walked out the door. I drove to the Angus Steakhouse restaurant, my stomach growling since I hadn't eaten dinner. The last time I was here, I ordered but didn't eat. Tonight, the restaurant did not disappoint. Taking my time, I savored the tender beef while mentally replaying the night's events. Hopefully, everything would work out as planned, but only time would tell. Mrs. Parker, Ethan's nanny, thanked me for the generous tip I had given her. I might need her help more in the near future, and wanted to ensure she was on good terms with me. Ethan was ecstatic to see me, laughing all the way home. After giving him a bath and feeding him, I put him to bed. Laura informed me she was making something light for us since we hadn't eaten. I told her I had already snacked and she should look after herself, not me. Offended by my pettiness, she brushed me off. Not wanting to upset Ethan, I got ready for bed without discussing the night's events further. Laura, however, wanted to talk. What's going on, David? You seemed interested in Mark's offer, then you just shut me out. What happened? I'm glad you asked. Let me respond with some questions of my own. Your answers might shed some light on the situation, I offered. Go ahead, she replied. Just before they left, 3 men seized me in my own house, and you didn't say a word against it. Is that true? It wasn't like that, she objected. It wasn't? 3 men grabbed and held me in my own home. Yes or no, Laura? Did that happen? Yes, it did. And did you protest to any of the witnesses? Yes or no, Laura? No, she answered reluctantly. We're starting to get somewhere. Next question. Did I ask you to take my cell phone and delete anything from it? Yes or no, Laura? No, she said quietly. Okay, let's be thorough here. You admit you had no objection to me being restrained in my own home, and you took my cell phone and deleted recordings from it, not at my request, but someone else's. Is that correct? Yes, she admitted, looking down. So you engaged in a conversation in my absence, and agreed to delete the recordings without my knowledge or consent. Is that correct, Laura? Yes, that's correct. I hadn't thought of it that way. You're making it sound like a betrayal. It is a betrayal, Laura. Now let's revisit your questions. Why did I shut you out? Your own answers explain why. You've proven you're on their side, not mine. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to bed alone tonight. I can't stand being around someone who betrays me so indifferently. Laura started sobbing as I left her in the hallway to reflect on her actions. Of course, I locked the door. Around 4 a.m., I heard her trying to open it, but a few futile turns were enough to stop her. Tuesday morning, I spoke with the vice president at my workplace. Alex, could you recommend a good divorce attorney? One who will fight as hard for the husband as for the wife? Please tell me this isn't for you, David. Alex pleaded. Unfortunately, it is. Given your position, I assumed you'd know someone who could help. I'm good friends with Paul Baker. He handles our legal matters and can recommend someone. Let me give him a call and get back to you. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it. Don't mention it, David. This will stay between us. You don't know how much that means to me. Thank you. On Paul's recommendation, I called B. Stone's office and set up an appointment for 2:30 that afternoon. To my surprise, B stood for Eleanor. She informed me that her caseload was 70% women and 30% men, but she took on every case with full commitment and fought hard for her clients. It didn't take long to convince her of my position as an injured party, and she agreed to take me on. She warned me that I'd be paying child support until Ethan turned 18, with college expenses factored in. I explained that I had no problem providing for my son, but wanted at least 50/50 joint custody. She couldn't promise anything, but assured me they would fight hard to get favorable terms. Regarding child support, she explained I would likely be responsible for 3 to 5 years due to the income disparity. The typical result in our state was 1 year of alimony for every 2 years of marriage, up to 20 years. After that, it was limited to 10 years. The thought of paying her to have fun with idiots infuriated me. Laura and I had rented the house we lived in for the past 4 years, planning for a future where our family would grow. We meticulously studied house plans and vacant lots, dreaming of building our perfect home. I had collected numerous sketches of our ideal retreat. Now those dreams had vanished into thin air. At least the house didn't need to be sold or fought over. Ethan, at his young age, wouldn't be attached to any particular place. If Laura kept renting the house, it wouldn't bother me. I knew I'd never sleep in the master bedroom again, knowing it had been defiled by that creep, who knows how many times before I discovered her infidelity. B explained that the average divorce in our state took 8 months if uncontested and a year if contested. I hoped to be in the 8-month bracket. Being legally bound to a traitorous wife held no appeal for me now that I had decided to divorce Laura. B also mentioned that there was no financial advantage to filing a declaration of infidelity, but it could be useful in custody disputes. She could have the paperwork ready by Thursday afternoon, and I asked her to serve Laura at work on Friday at 10 a.m. in front of her friends and colleagues. After resolving the divorce details and agreeing on a fee, I asked about living arrangements until the divorce was finalized. "What questions do you have, David?" she asked. "My only concern is spending time with my son. 8 months to a year is a long time for both him and me. I don't want to be an absent father. Would it be illegal or inappropriate for me to continue living in the same house with her to maximize my time with Ethan?" "While it's not uncommon, David, it can be quite challenging." "How so?" I inquired. "First, when she is served with the divorce papers on Friday, she will be extremely unhappy. If you are in close proximity, she will likely unleash her fury. Are you prepared for that?" "Absolutely. Once she gets the summons, in my mind, we'll be legally separated. I'll treat her indifferently, as she's been treating me." "David, she might not want to divorce. Cheating wives often want to have their cake and eat it too. She may do everything she can to prevent it." "But this is a legal process, right? She can't bend the law to her will just because she feels like it." "You're correct, but she could complicate things," B informed me. "How so?" "If you enter into any conjugal relationship before the divorce is finalized, the time limit resets to 0, and the clock starts ticking from a new beginning. The state will view it as a desire to end the divorce process. That won't be a problem for me, though I can see Laura trying to lure me back to disrupt the process. I have an iron will. I won't give in." "You don't have to. All Laura has to do is claim that you had an affair, and unless you can prove otherwise, which is nearly impossible, the clock resets. The judge will find it hard to believe you were never intimate with her while living under the same roof. I've seen it happen before, and I strongly advise against it." "Let me ask you this. If she claims that, would she have to provide specific details like time and place?" "Yes, but again, it would be your word against hers. The judge would likely believe her, especially if she is tearfully persuasive." "Leave it to me. Thank you, B. You've been a great help." I then discussed another legal issue I would have to deal with after the divorce. Laura usually got home half an hour earlier than I did, so it was no surprise to find her cooking dinner. Contrary to my usual routine, I avoided the kitchen and headed upstairs to shower. Using the hall bathroom now meant fewer opportunities for her to trap me. I took a change of clothes with me, starting to practice living separately under the same roof. When I emerged fully dressed, she was waiting in the hall. Dinner will be ready in a few minutes. Ethan is already in his high chair. You smell nice and fresh, she said cordially. I'll be right down. Thanks, I replied, ignoring her remark and unlocking my spare bedroom door. The tension was palpable, but she didn't say anything sarcastic as we ate. She began, I'd like to explain about the cell phone incident last night. Go ahead, I said calmly. While you were downstairs evaluating potential partners, and we were alone upstairs, Mark mentioned that he knew you were recording the events. He said it wouldn't be fair to expose everyone to the risk you posed with the video. The right thing to do was eliminate the threat. He insisted they couldn't leave until the threat was neutralized, not knowing if your phone was password protected. They were willing to take your phone with them and return it later after ensuring it was cleared. Mark suggested that I could prevent all this by deleting the recordings myself in your presence. I see. And why did they believe you would do such a thing against your husband? I asked. Because I gave them my word, David. Your word! Didn't you give me your word to be faithful on our wedding day? My remark left a heavy silence in the air. I was glad for it. Darling, I don't want you to think I'm on their side. I'm not, she pleaded. Really? What if the situation were reversed? What if those 3 men had grabbed you in our house? Do you think I would have just stood by silently? What choice did I have, David? They could have easily overpowered you. True, but that wouldn't have stopped me from trying. I would have fought for you because I'm on your side. Last night you didn't act like my wife. You acted like one of them. I'm sorry you don't understand me, David. I explained about the phone. What more can I say? There's nothing more to say, I replied dryly. You're right. How did you find those pictures, David? I'd like to know. I'm sure you would. Wouldn't it be interesting if one of your friends wasn't as loyal to your cause as you thought? What if a coworker delivered those pictures to my office? How would you feel about that? Who was it? A man or a woman? She asked urgently. I can't tell you, Laura. I gave my word, I said with a wide grin. She realized she wasn't getting anywhere, so she changed the topic. Did you enjoy watching? She asked. No, I just saw a bunch of animals. That's exactly right, David. It doesn't have to be emotional. It's just to strengthen our marriage. Our marriage is hanging by a thread. I already feel so much closer to you, I added sarcastically. Don't be like that. You don't know what it's like, she insisted. Laura, has our life become so boring and devoid of excitement that you think we can't survive as a couple without involving others? It's not about surviving. It's about thriving. Shouldn't we take opportunities to strengthen our marriage when they come along? The harm is in the destruction of the trust we once had. Your experiments are tearing us apart. Maybe your friends don't value fidelity, but I do. Obviously, they don't. I knew you'd react that way. I thought if I could experience the benefits first, I could show you how it could improve us. So you and this smug asshole think you're enlightened and understand things better than I do. How noble of you to let your superior knowledge trickle down to me. I didn't realize how lucky I was, I continued, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Why don't you let me show you what I've learned? I've adopted techniques from Mark and Samantha. This whole process is meant to improve our love life, not destroy it. Let me show you what I can do, she said enthusiastically. Every time I look at you, I cringe. All you're offering is a whore who shares with other men what used to be just mine. You don't own me, David. You never have and never will, she said defiantly. You're right, I never claimed to own you. I thought you gave yourself to me. But you've given yourself to another man. You've broken something in me, Laura, and I'm not sure it can be fixed. She started sobbing again. That was the last conversation I had with her until Friday. I spent all my free time with Ethan, changing his diaper and never asking her for help. It became a game of who bathed him more. Ethan seemed to enjoy the attention, and so did I. Over the next few days, I researched Mark and Samantha Johnson. I found almost nothing. One Mark Johnson was a homeless man arrested for soliciting money downtown. The photo and age didn't match. I decided to keep digging. I planned for Laura to be served at 10 a.m. on Friday during a meeting of the local chapter of facilities managers. We met quarterly for 2 to 4 hours, including lunch, with numerous contractors sponsoring the event. My secretary would confirm my extended absence when Laura called, and my cell phone would be on silent mode. I would only answer emergency calls. I wasn't avoiding Laura. I just wanted to give her time to process the shock before we talked again. I finally took her call after leaving numerous messages. I could hear her scrambling to find privacy as she started speaking. About time you called. Are you serious, serving me in front of my friends? Do you know how humiliating that was? Are you really going to divorce me over this? I told you it was nothing, David. When are you going to get that through your thick skull? Why won't you return my calls? Why won't you talk to me about this? My secretary should have informed you that I was in a meeting. I just got back to the office and called you right away. I have responsibilities, Laura. It doesn't stop because you demand to talk. As for talking, when have I refused? You're the one who's been avoiding a real conversation. I'm still talking to you now, aren't I? But we both have work to do. Let's continue this after work, okay? She began to cry over the phone. I don't want a divorce, she sobbed. Please, David, don't divorce me. We'll discuss it tonight, Laura. Okay, she sniffled. I love you. Tonight then. Goodbye, Laura. I had only one meeting left that day, a short one about a lab issue. I contacted our building automation contractor to handle it. Having reliable people around makes my job easier. I arrived home an hour early since Friday afternoons are usually calm. I knew I had to face the situation head on. Expecting that Laura might not cook dinner, I picked up Chick-fil-A and texted her. She arrived shortly after I did. I grabbed Ethan's diaper bag and carried him inside. Laura hugged me as I held our boy, knowing I wouldn't rebuke her in front of him. I set Ethan in his high chair and helped feed him. Babies are messy eaters, and Ethan enjoyed throwing food, so there wasn't much left on his tray. Laura thanked me for the takeout, and we ate together, talking with Ethan while tears streamed down her face. I spent the evening with Ethan, not leaving his side until he was asleep. He was my focus, my reason for enduring this mess. Later, I found Laura going through the divorce papers in the living room. She took a deep breath before speaking. I'm sorry, David. Is that what you wanted to hear? To be honest, it's the first apology since this all started. What exactly are you apologizing for, Laura? I'm sorry you saw those pictures and found out like that. It must have been awful for you. So you're sorry I found out, but not sorry you cheated on me. Got it. Don't say that. Mark said once you saw the benefits of our arrangement, you'd come around. You'd enjoy the freedom to be with other women, just as I'm with other men. Of course he said that. It seems you and Mark both made the mistake of not consulting me. You trust his words over mine about my own character. Mark doesn't know me or our marriage. He's a failure in that regard, just like you. Look, I realize now I was wrong. I should have talked to you first. Mark told me that if I had approached you, things would have gone smoother. He still thinks you'll come around, but I'm not sure anymore. Why don't you call off this divorce and let's get back to normal? Laura, that ship has sailed. There's no going back. You destroyed our marriage when you slept with that guy and then betrayed me further. Just sign the papers so we can both move on. You don't want Ethan to grow up in a broken home, do you? If I remarried, you wouldn't want him calling another man daddy. Think about it. Reconciliation is best for us. I wouldn't want him calling another woman mom if you remarry either. But you should have thought about that before breaking your vows. You're right. It would kill me to hear him call another man daddy. But it's better to come from a broken home than live in one filled with lies and deceit. Even if we stayed together, I wouldn't join your circle of cheaters. They may look attractive, but to me, they're disgusting. You would keep entertaining others, but it will never be me again. I can't be intimate with you anymore, Laura. Accept it. That's not what you mean. You're just trying to hurt me. It really does hurt, David. What if I swear off the group entirely? What if I turn my back on them as friends? I'm desperate. You and Ethan are the best things in my life. I didn't turn my back on us. I value you both more than anything. I hear your words, but I don't believe you. You've proven yourself a liar. I can't trust anything you say now. Just sign the papers and end this. Never! I'll never sign those damn papers. I don't want a divorce. I will fight you every step of the way. I want you back, David. I believe in us more than you do. I'll crawl to you on my hands and knees if I have to. It's too bad you didn't believe in us enough to stay faithful. Once a cheater, always a cheater. That's how I'll always see you. She started sobbing again, realizing she was facing an impossible task. What now? She asked. I hope you don't expect me to leave. I'm staying here with Ethan. We have nowhere else to go. You're right. Ethan is my whole world now. I don't want to be away from him either. That's why I'm staying here during the divorce process. Don't worry, I won't get in your way. I don't need you to do my laundry, cook my meals, or clean up after me anymore. You handle your needs, I'll handle mine, and we'll both take care of Ethan's needs. Just don't touch me. To me, you're a walking reminder of betrayal. We will coexist under the same roof, but it will only be a temporary arrangement until the divorce is finalized. There will never be reconciliation. Her defiance faded into a look of defeat as she processed my words. I heard what you said, David, but divorce is a long process, and a lot can happen in that time. I'm going to win you back, I promise. As long as you keep hanging out with those so-called friends of yours, you don't stand a chance, I replied bluntly. I'll never socialize with them again. If that's what it takes to get you back, I'll do it. Do you want me to quit my job and become a full-time mom? It's too late for that now. Besides, if you did, I'd just end up paying more in child support after the divorce. She didn't like my response, but she kept a forced smile for my benefit. I decided that from now on, I would handle the situation with a professional demeanor. There was no point in losing my temper again. We had both had enough of arguments and accusations. I resolved to treat our living arrangement like a temporary business partnership. Nothing would stop me from spending time with my son. For the next few weeks, we communicated politely, sticking to necessary topics. Surprisingly, we managed to agree on several of my attorney B's suggestions. In the meantime, I would cover the rent, and Laura would handle the utilities. I canceled all joint utilities and had them reissued in her name. Since both our cars were paid off, we each paid our own gas and insurance. We also handled our own meals, so there was no need to share groceries. Financial independence wasn't as difficult as I'd expected, though I still covered the majority of expenses. Laura accepted this setup. I transferred half of our savings to a new account in my name and left the rest in an account for her. She was unpleasant for a few days, but soon realized I was simply enforcing the divorce terms she had refused to sign. Laura found excuses to ask me questions and engage in conversation. I was always polite, never refused unless she got personal, and never initiated any conversations. One day, while looking for socks in my desk drawer, I realized the 3 incriminating pictures were missing. I urgently searched all my drawers but couldn't find them. I knew who had taken them. Inspecting the lock on my door with a magnifying glass, I saw fine scratches. She couldn't have picked the lock herself. She must have hired a locksmith to do it and make a key. That was the only plausible explanation. The next day, I replaced the locks on the bedroom and bathroom doors and kept the new keys hidden. She didn't want me to know she could access my room, and I didn't want her to know she no longer had access until she tried again. Her continued betrayal, even now, only confirmed that divorcing her was the right decision. Over time, Laura began asking me to go out to eat or see a movie, anything that resembled a date. I always declined politely. I could see her growing anxious. She was used to going out with friends regularly, but had promised not to socialize with them. Soon, I started getting calls and messages from her friends, inviting me out. After each one, I blocked the number to avoid repeats. In mid-December, she invited me to her company's Christmas party. I politely declined, explaining that I had promised to babysit Ethan. I told her to have a good time. We had always attended together in the past. The following weekend was my company's party. I planned to go alone, but Laura didn't want to stay home. She took Ethan to the babysitter and followed me to the party. She found me there looking stunning as always. She tried to engage me in small talk in front of others, but I kept my distance. When I was alone with our vice president, Alex, he asked if we had reconciled. I explained the situation, and he laughed, admiring my resilience. I made it clear I didn't want to waste time away from my son, and he understood. After the party, I went straight to the babysitter's house to pick up Ethan, who slept all the way home. I expected Laura to be angry and confront me, but instead, she seemed grateful for the brief interaction we had at the party. In an effort to entice me, Laura started wearing revealing clothes around the house. To counter this, I used my engineering skills to modify the thermostat, lowering the heating temperature by 5 degrees without her knowing. The house was cooler than usual, and she started wearing more clothes. My idea was to encourage her to put on warmer clothes. I was partially successful. 2 weeks later, I removed the resistor, restoring the normal operation of the thermostat. At least I tried. 5 months after she was served the divorce papers, Laura informed me she was having dinner with her best friend Cassie on Saturdays and asked if I could watch Ethan. I nonchalantly replied that I didn't mind as long as she didn't bring any of her lovers into the house. I decided to join my employer's bowling league, which met on those Saturday nights. I had a blast making a fool of myself on the lanes, and Ethan loved the attention from the ladies there. It was far better than sitting at home, wondering what Laura was up to. One day, I got home later than usual, and she asked where I had been with Ethan. I told her the truth. She asked if she could come with me next time, and I told her honestly that I only went out because she did. My answer upset her, but pleasing Laura was no longer my concern. She often asked how we could ever be a loving couple again if I never gave her a chance. Despite her pleas, she never signed the divorce papers, which meant we were stuck in this limbo for a whole year. 6 months after being served, my attorney B. Stone contacted me with news. Laura's lawyer had successfully argued for 10 mandatory marriage counseling sessions. I had to attend and actively participate. I asked B if I could just repeat the same sentence for every question. She said as long as I said something relevant to our marriage, it would be fine. During the sessions, to every question and statement from Laura and the therapist, I replied, "I don't want to stay married to a promiscuous woman." This frustrated and angered them both, but it was true and relevant to our situation. After the 5th session, the therapist canceled the remaining ones, citing unproductivity and a waste of time. The remaining months passed without much change. I continued to spend every spare minute with Ethan, strengthening our bond. 4 days before the divorce hearing, Laura moved out and took Ethan with her. I was served with a restraining order to stay away from both of them until the court date. B contacted me with disturbing news. "David, she claims that on 3 separate occasions, you coerced her into sex. She didn't report it initially because she hoped for reconciliation. She alleges that the last time you demanded it, she felt ill, and you allegedly forced her. Hospital documents show several bruises as evidence. She has countersued for full custody, allowing you only infrequent visits under CPS supervision. I'm afraid she's got you stumped." "Is any of what she claims true?" B asked. "B, you know me better than that. Not one word is true." "Okay, I needed to hear it from you. I will fight for you to the end, but without hard evidence, it's going to be tough." "Has she provided all the necessary information to support her claims?" I inquired. "Yes, she has. I have the details in a folder. I'll email you the information. Remember, you cannot contact her or Ethan until I tell you otherwise. Do you understand?" "Got it," I replied. 2 days later, I walked into the house after work and was shocked to see Laura sitting at the kitchen table. Her car was nowhere in sight, so she must have come with someone else. My first impulse was to leave to avoid violating the restraining order, but she called out loudly before I could step back out. "David, turn around and listen to me if you want to see Ethan again." She had my attention. I stood still, staring at her, keeping my distance. "You don't have to say a word, just listen," she began. "First, hand me your cell phone so I can turn it off." I placed it on the kitchen table, and she picked it up, ensuring there was no recording. "I tried my best to talk you down, but you were so stubborn. I had to resort to desperate measures. How does it feel to have the shoe on the other foot? It's not very pleasant, is it?" "I'm sorry, David, but you left me no choice. I had to claim we had sex to turn back the clock, but Mark convinced me I needed a backup plan in case your lawyer objected. So I made up a story about you hitting me in anger. We both know you never touched me, but I needed to secure full custody of our son, leaving you with only crumbs of time with him. It pains me to be so cruel, but it puts me in a unique position to negotiate. If you cancel the divorce and agree to join our group of friends as they have generously offered, I will lift the restraining order, move back in with you, and we can resume our happily married life. Ethan would not have to grow up in a single-parent family. He would be raised by both of us, living happily under the same roof. Think about it, David. What's not to like? You'll get used to it quickly. I'd love to show you some new tricks I've learned right here and now if you want. But maybe that's too soon. What do you say, David? Why don't you come down from your high horse and live with me in the real world for a change? I promise you'll have a good time." I looked her straight in the eye, letting her know I was seriously considering her offer. "So if I agree to this, are you saying I'll have unrestricted access to Ethan? Why would I come between a loving father and his son? You know Ethan loves you more than he loves me. He asks for you all the time. It breaks my heart to keep him away from you. Just say yes, David, and all our problems will disappear, she encouraged. I've already lost you and my son. My life is unbearable. I miss Ethan so much, I cried. One word from you will fix everything, David. Everything will be restored, she assured me. Give me time to think. I need to figure out how to share you with other men. I just need time, okay? Okay, baby. I know you like to analyze everything. We're going before a judge in 2 days. I need to hear from you by tomorrow. Just text me one word. Yes. If I don't hear from you, I will make sure your son grows up hating you. Please don't make me do this for Ethan's sake. She hit me where it hurt the most. My son. Nothing else mattered as much to me as Ethan. I'll answer as soon as I can. For now, please leave, I insisted. She walked past me with a smirk, knowing she had me in a corner. I held my breath until I heard the door close. Looking out the window, I saw a shiny Lexus pull up. The driver, of course, was Mark Johnson. He must be very eager to accept her into his group. I had a lot to think about. B informed me that my presence at the divorce hearing wasn't required, but I wanted to be there. As I left the men's room to head to the courtroom, Laura appeared out of nowhere and hissed, "You had your chance, you stupid bastard. I'll tear you to pieces in there. Your son will never know your name and will grow up calling another man father. I will marry a real man who trusts and believes in me and our marriage, who is open to new experiences, unlike you." She spat in my face and hurried away, drawing stares from onlookers who wondered what I had done to such a beautiful woman. I wiped my face with a handkerchief and entered the courtroom, taking a seat in the back, hoping my lawyer was as good as her reputation. As I waited, I listened to some of the crazy divorce cases being heard. Those representing themselves truly had fools for clients. Our case wasn't heard until 1 p.m., making for a long day. Laura was called to testify first, as she had filed a restraining order and made accusations against me. The divorce was a minor issue compared to her allegations. I listened intently as she recounted the supposed assaults, providing dates, times, and locations. This was her chance to secure custody, child support, alimony, and maybe even jail time for me. Oddly, the prosecutor had yet to file formal charges against me. I remained silent as she tearfully recounted her stories. My attorney B doodled flowers in the margins of her notes. Laura's lawyer skillfully painted a picture of my violent temper and unsuitability as a parent. He explained that Laura had tried to reconcile before my alleged latest attack, and that my jealousy had destroyed our marriage. He argued that divorce was now the best option for her and our child. After presenting his case, B smiled politely and took her turn with Laura. I want to clarify and confirm for the record that you are absolutely certain of the dates, times, and locations of the attacks you accuse Mr. Green of. Can you be wrong, Mrs. Green? B asked. No, ma'am. I understand everything perfectly. My attorney recommended documenting these events, so I wrote everything down on a calendar. So you swear under oath that the allegations you are making against my client are accurate and true? Yes, ma'am. I wish I could say otherwise, but the truth must be told, Laura responded tearfully. No further questions, Your Honor, B informed the judge. Thank you, Mrs. Green. You may step down, Judge Corfield advised. Laura and her attorney seemed stunned that my attorney hadn't questioned her more thoroughly. Her smirk as she left the witness box said it all. She believed she had already won. Your Honor, I would like to call Mr. James Davis to the stand, B requested. The judge nodded, and a plain-looking man took a seat at the front. Laura and her lawyer conferred, clearly unfamiliar with him. Please state your full name for the record, B asked. James Davis. Thank you, Mr. Davis. May I call you James? John, please. Of course, thank you, John. Could you tell the court where you work and the nature of your business? Yes, ma'am. I own and operate Davis Investigative and Security Services. John, could you please inform the court how you initially met my client, Mr. Green? The attorney asked. Yes, John replied. Mr. Green approached me around 14 months ago. He was concerned about his wife, Mrs. Laura Green, suspecting her of infidelity but lacking any solid proof. We provide private investigative services to either confirm or disprove such suspicions, and he promptly hired us. I see. And what did you uncover during your surveillance of Mrs. Green, John? Through our surveillance, we gathered evidence of her infidelity and provided him with 3 photographs of her in bed with another man. Were these photographs the only existing copies of her unfaithful activities? No, ma'am. We store all photos and videos in secure cloud storage. We understand the importance of maintaining the chain of evidence and are fully licensed agents respected in this and several other circuit courts. We retain all the originals, while Mr. Green has only received copies. Do you have other copies of these images, sir? Yes, we do, John confirmed. I have them right here and can verify that they are copies of the unaltered originals. Thank you, John. Your Honor, we would like to submit these 3 copies of the original photographs taken by Davis Investigative Services into evidence. The judge accepted the photos, reviewed them, nodded, and handed them to the bailiff for processing. Thank you, Your Honor, the attorney continued. John, is that the end of your association with Mr. Green? No, ma'am, John replied. He was worried that her affair with an unknown man might be ongoing and asked for advice on how to determine if it continued. I recommended that Mr. Green install hidden miniature surveillance cameras and microphones throughout the house, which could be monitored at all times. These devices could record phone calls, secret meetings, and graphic evidence of infidelity. And did Mr. Green hire your firm to install this equipment? Yes, ma'am. We installed the equipment the very next day while Mr. and Mrs. Green were at work. Objection, Your Honor, Laura's attorney protested. I see where this is going. Before this case proceeds further, I ask that you declare inadmissible all evidence obtained through those hidden cameras. Mr. Green could have easily edited or altered those recordings to manipulate the circumstances and smear my client. This is unconscionable. Judge Feldman considered the objection. Before I rule on your objection, Counselor, I'd like to determine if there are grounds for it. Attorney Thoron? Thank you, Your Honor, the attorney said. John, could you explain to the court the nature and type of surveillance system you installed in Mr. Green's home at his request? Of course, John replied. All the cameras transmit data wirelessly to a laptop computer hidden in a subfloor under the house. The laptop is connected to a wired Ethernet hub that continuously streams all collected data to our secure cloud servers. Mr. Green does not have access to the raw recordings. The laptop stores no local records or files other than the web address to which streaming content is sent and stored. The only way for Mr. Green or anyone else to access these files is by contacting my firm. I strongly recommended this setup to ensure that the chain of evidence is constantly monitored. We provide Mr. Green with information that we believe is useful to him and inform him of the circumstances after reviewing the records. Mr. Green's involvement with the system is limited to the monthly replacement of the batteries in the camera transmitters. Judge Feldman smiled at John and nodded. I've seen you in my courtroom before, Mr. Davis. Your firm has an excellent reputation. The objection is overruled. Thank you, Your Honor, the attorney said. John, you heard Laura Green's testimony accusing my client of assault. She held out a piece of paper. Here are the dates and times of the alleged assaults as portrayed by Laura Green. In your opinion, John, do you think her accusations have any merit? No, ma'am, they don't, John responded. What makes you so sure, John? When your office provided us with those specific dates, times, and locations, my staff reviewed the archival recordings made on those dates at Mr. Green's home. In all cases, the recordings show a fairly quiet home where Mr. Green is happily playing with his son, while Laura Green is alone in another room. There were no incidents of violence recorded on the video footage. Laura and her attorney seemed interested in the stains on the floor and avoided eye contact. Her case was a wreck. John, can you offer any additional information regarding the allegations she made against Mr. Green? Yes, ma'am, I can, John replied. I have a transcript of a phone call made by Mrs. Green the day before she moved out. In it, she clearly states that she hates to see her husband, whom she says she loves very much, being treated this way. However, she also mentions that someone else beating her up so she could claim it was him is quite obvious. She planned to use this as leverage against him to get what she wanted. Objection, Your Honor, that's hearsay, her attorney grumbled. If necessary, I can provide the original tapes of her saying those words in her own voice, John offered indignantly. But that transcript is a mirror image of her words on the phone to someone other than her husband. Laura's lawyer sat down and did not object again. Thank you, John, for your expert testimony, the attorney said. No further questions, Your Honor, and she sat back down. Judge Feldman looked at Laura's attorney. Would you like to question this witness, counselor? Defeated, he replied. No questions, Your Honor. Mr. Davis, you may leave the room, Judge Feldman ordered. Thank you, John said as he took his seat. The judge continued. I see what's going on here. An innocent man is being accused of crimes he did not commit in an attempt to sway the court toward full custody of the child. Mrs. Green has perjured herself. Perjury is a third-degree felony and can result in up to 36 months in prison. The transcript of this hearing will be forwarded to the district attorney for possible prosecution. I hope charges will be pressed against you, Mrs. Green. I hereby grant full custody of the child, Ethan Green, to his father, David Green. Laura Green will have visitation rights at Mr. Green's discretion. Mr. Green, I urge you to be generous with visitation. Your child needs to spend time with his mother, the judge advised. I nodded, acknowledging her request. She continued, regarding child support, while Mrs. Green's behavior has been ruthless, I still have some compassion. Therefore, I am awarding alimony of $1,000 per month to Laura Green, payable on the first of each month, for a period of 3.5 years. Each of you will retain your vehicles, and the checking and savings accounts will be divided equally, based on the balances on the date the divorce petition was filed. Each party will also keep their respective retirement accounts. Since Mr. Green will have primary custody of the child, no child support will be awarded. Turning to me, the judge asked, Mr. Green, as the custodial parent, do you want to stay in your current residence or move? I stood up and replied, Your Honor, I have no desire to stay there any longer than necessary. Laura can continue renting the house if she wishes. I'm moving out. Very well, Mr. Green. The lease on the current residence will be left to Mrs. Green. Mrs. Green, the judge addressed her, you have a maximum of 8 hours to return the child to Mr. Green. If you fail to comply, you will be held in contempt of court. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor, Laura replied tearfully. Good. I suggest you take appropriate action before leaving this building today. All restraining orders are lifted, and I grant the petition for divorce in Green v. Green. You should both receive your divorce decrees within 30 days. Laura broke down, realizing she had lost her family. She turned to me. If you don't mind, David, I'd like to bring Ethan to your new place tonight after dinner. I want to spend a few more hours with him before I hand him over. That's not necessary, Laura. I've been waiting to see how this trial ends. I've already found a new apartment, and my friends will help me move as soon as I leave here. I handed her a piece of paper. Here's the address of my furnished apartment. I'm only taking Ethan's things, my personal belongings, and tools. You can keep all the furniture. Bring Ethan to this address tomorrow at noon. I should be settled in by then. She nodded sadly. I'm sorry, David. This is not what I wanted. Well, since life with me was so boring and mundane, you can now have the exciting and fulfilling love life you wanted without me. Good luck with your next open marriage, I said sarcastically. She didn't respond. David, I want to thank you. For what? I asked, puzzled. For not going after Mark and Samantha Johnson. They really are wonderful people. It's a shame you'll never get to know them like I did, she said almost gratefully. No problem. I have zero interest in Mark or Samantha Johnson. As far as I'm concerned, they don't exist. But I do have plans involving your company. I discovered from HR that your company has a strict policy to protect employees from predators. I'm suing your company tomorrow, claiming that blatant violations of their policy destroyed my marriage and nearly cost me my son. Peter Harris will be named as the primary culprit. Apparently, he slept with a dozen female employees in violation of company policy. You might know him. He's your manager. Laura looked shocked, her mouth opening and closing without sound. I continued. Peter has a wife, Anna, and 2 young children. I don't know if she knows about his affairs, but I'll make sure she finds out everything, including his relationship with Maria Lopez, the woman he calls his greatest love on earth. You might know her as Samantha. But why? Why destroy his family? They don't deserve this, she pleaded. Why? He destroyed my marriage. Why shouldn't I destroy his? He almost took my son from me. Why shouldn't his children know the truth? Even now, you're defending him. How enlightening. Stick around, Laura, and you might get the man of your dreams. Something tells me he could be divorced within a year. The downside is he might also be unemployed soon, just like your call center girlfriends who didn't condemn his behavior. You want us all fired? How will I support myself? She objected. Don't worry, your job is safe. I promised your company I wouldn't publicize this as long as they keep you on staff. Maybe you can start your own group of like-minded individuals. Imagine how wonderful your life will be without me. Explain to them how your actions strengthened our marriage, and I'm sure they'll be eager to join you. Hiring a new manager might be tough, but perhaps one of the husbands will step up. The possibilities are endless, I said with mock enthusiasm. But why protect my job and not the others? She babbled. One reason only, Laura. I agree with the judge that Ethan needs his mother. It's not a dream job, and it doesn't pay much, but it's enough for you to live without needing my money. One day, when Ethan asks how I treated you in the divorce, I want to say I was fair. If you tell him otherwise, I'll show him the proof. Neither Laura nor her friends knew I had known her lover's real name from day one. My private investigator is top-notch and worth every penny. As an engineer, I solve problems with knowledge. If we lack the answer, we find someone who has it. That's what we did. My lawyer, a shark, sued Laura's call center for $1.5 million, settling for a tidy sum. She kept $250,000, and the rest went to me. When I got my payout, I wrote Laura a check for $42,000, covering my alimony obligations. Her company paid it, and I had plenty left over to build my dream home. Word spread quickly at work. Many single ladies eyed me as potential prey, but after this roller coaster, I'm focusing on Ethan for a while before dating again.